Jim Emke, don't need the script for that. I work at News Channel 34, and I'll be your host for this evening. Our program will begin in a few minutes with the presentation of the colors. So at this time, I would like to ask you to turn off your cell phones, or at least put them on vibrate or silence. And then I'd also like to remind you to remove your cover as the colors are presented. Thank you. And I'll be back in a minute.
Detail and two. Forward arm. Forward two. Left, 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 right, left, right, left, 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 right, left, left, right, left, right, left. Right on left. Right, hey! Prepare post colors. Post. One step back.
And now, trumpet soloist Abigail Carpenter with Call to Colors. And now it is time for a performance of our national anthem. Which I might add will be performed by the Windsor Central Music Department Chorus.
detail heads, present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
Order, home.
And now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
And who?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
All right, I believe you can take your seats now, and I want to thank the Broome County Veterans Association and the Marine Corps League Honor Guard for presenting the colors, and we want to thank once again Abigail Carpenter for performing that trumpet solo, Call to Colors. All right, now it is my pleasure to introduce Captain Timothy Miller. He is the Brigade Chaplain of the New York Army National Guard, and he will provide our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth, creator of humankind, we come before you today with joy in our hearts and thanksgiving for the chance to celebrate with these enlistees who are about to embark on a great journey. Each one of them have toiled many hours in thought, spent many an hour in pursuit of classwork, and worked hard at getting physically fit, all for this great opportunity to enlist the United States military. We ask that you keep the lessons that they have learned in high school and at home fresh in their memories, and may they remain humbled by the responsibility of being a member of our great military. Lord, as David said in the Psalms, you are the one who created our hands for war and our fingers for battle. As each one of these recruits goes through their military training and moves on to their duty stations, may you give them the courage and wisdom to defend our great nation. We ask that as each one is away from family and friends, that you provide them with security and peace during the many long hours of training, service, and time away from home that they will endure. Provide them with the safety during the rigorous drills and duties, and give them the strength to continue on when it seems there is nothing left to give. We also pray to the commitment of the families of the enlistees that are represented here today. I pray that you will care for them while their military member is away serving, and provide them with your blessing. May your peace and hope for the future as they too serve this great country. As we go through this ceremony, may the historical significance not be lost on each enlistee. As they move on in their military careers, may this day be remembered. Lord, all throughout your word, there are moments which are commemorated by milestones. We ask that this be a milestone and a marker in the lives of each enlistee. May it not be forgotten. May your grace be visible today during this ceremony. I pray these things in the name of the one who is the rock. Amen.
All right, thank you, Chaplain Miller. Now, it's time for a man who's very familiar with this building. It's my pleasure now to introduce the Superintendent of the Windsor Central School District, Dr. Jason Andrews.
Thank you very much. On behalf of our Board of Education and Administrative team, I'm really honored to welcome all of you here again this year. We're just delighted to have this great event here in Windsor again. And want to thank our administrative team for the work that they've done, our custodial staff, our jazz band members that could be here, even though they should be home studying for Regents exams, that's okay, and our a cappella group. But we're very pleased to be able to put this on, and our custodial staff with the work that they do. So at this time of year, we do a whole lot of events that really congratulate students for their achievement. In fact, I think it's been the last couple of months that we've had something almost every night where we've been congratulating. This is a little bit different, and I think even more special, because we're not so much congratulating over what someone has achieved. Rather, we're showing appreciation and gratitude for what you're about to do. Now, I grew up on a dairy farm with a bunch of older brothers, and several of them, a couple of them anyway, joined the military. It wasn't a big celebration, however. As I recall, it was, you are going to be more safe in the military than you are if you stay home. My parents are going to kill you. There wasn't a ceremony. But some of them being quite a bit older than me, I remember vividly the term, my brothers had joined the service. And so in thinking about that we're talking about joining the service, that you have enlisted to serve, not to do, not to join. You are being part of the service. And so thinking about what does that mean to serve? So to act as a servant, to render assistance, to be of use, to help, to do duty, to work for, and thinking about what a valuable and noble thing that is to do. So, you know, rather than congratulating you for something you've done, it's really about thanking you for your decision to become a soldier. And so I want to just read something written in 1970 by Charles Province from the U.S. Army. It's called, "It is the Soldier." It is the soldier, not the minister, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us the freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us the freedom to protest. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who's given us the right to a fair trial. It is the soldier, not the politician, who's given us the right to vote. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. In this room, and you can see some incredibly noble soldiers that have served our country with esteem and honor and pride and tradition. And so our honorees tonight, you have big shoes to fill. Giant shoes to fill. And so taking on this honored role and title is one I know you don't take lightly. It's a crucial role. It's one that we appreciate. And so on behalf of my colleagues, superintendents in our region, and other administrators, our Board of Education, let me be the first to say thank you. Thank you for joining the service, and thank you for doing what you're all about to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Andrews, for those words. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Captain Eugene Clark. Captain Clark is U.S. Army retired, and he is the National Executive Director of Our Community Salutes. And he's here to present A Parent's Guide to Education in the Military.
Wow. This is my third year, my third trip to Windsor. And I got to tell you, you're younger and you're better looking than you ever were. The band is terrific. The chorus was great. Abigail, I think you did a great job on Call the Colors. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. You know, you never give a politician the microphone, nor do you give it to an executive director, because there are always housekeeping things to talk about. My housekeeping list starts with the Kiwanis Club. Thank you for caring enough to put on your third Our Community Salutes first to say thank you. Special thanks to Bill and his wife Karen, Merle and his lovely bride, to Don and Elizabeth for all the publication work that you guys do, Superintendent Andrews and the staff here at Windsor High. This is an exceptional facility, an exceptional group of people, and it really, truthfully, is a pleasure. I'm going to talk for a half a second about military education. Some of you have told your parents that you wanted to go into the military to get a college education. Some of you were being honest about it. Some of you were just trying to find an excuse for getting out of Dodge. The reality is, there is no better way today to get an education. Whether it's a formal education in the form of a degree, or whether it's a formal education in terms of skills training. Our soldiers, airmen, marine, and seamen are among the best trained in the world. They learn electronics, they work pneumatics, they work satellites, telecommunications, and some of the most sophisticated weapon systems that we've ever seen. Those skill sets transfer to college credits. You get college credit, physical education type credit for basic training. You get physical education credit for time in service. You get credit for service schools that you attend. And if you're smart, and I hope you're listening, if you're smart, you'll get an associate degree or the associate degree equivalent before you leave your active duty experience. Now, if you do that, you're going to separate with a clean bill of health, an unblemished record, and a chance to take advantage of the 9/11 GI Bill. The 9/11 GI Bill will completely pay for your bachelor's degree and a master's degree, if you desire to go on to do a master's degree. Now, you talk to your high school guidance counselors, you talk to your teachers, you talk to anyone who practices a profession, and chances are they will tell you that you must complete a master's degree in order to practice a profession in New York State, or most professions in New York State. Now, you can have the same conversation with those people. These are people you know. These are people that you grew up around and people that you trust. And you can ask them the question and watch the look on their face when you utter the words, "How much do you owe in a student loan?" Almost everybody that completed college has got a student loan. In fact, a little known fact, moms and dads, is that we lead the world in student loan debt. And that our student loan debt in this country is about $1.4 trillion. The student loan debt is higher than all the credit card debt and all the auto loan debt combined. It's an immense amount of money that has to be repaid. It's the only debt that you can't declare on a bankruptcy. You have to pay it back. And your teachers and your counselors and the people that you know and that you grew up with and that you trust will tell you they're making payments on their student debt. Now, your classmates are going to go off to college. And I guarantee you, they will leave college with anywhere between $40,000 and $80,000 in student debt. So when they start their professional careers, they will have a mortgage payment in the form of a student loan payment to be repaid to the government. If you listen to old Uncle Clark, I'm telling you, get your associate degree, keep your nose clean, stay financially independent. Don't go buying the Harley Davidson and the Camaro and spending it all, because you're going to make more money than you've ever made in your life. I promise you. Save it, come out of the service, take advantage of the GI Bill, and get your education. To the communities that are going to welcome these young people back, remember, you raised them, you educated them, you sent them off to do a job that less than 1% of people elect to do. Truth be told, 77% of the young men and women in our country are ineligible to serve. So these are really some pretty special young people. They're going to do a job to protect you and me and our way of life. When they come home, welcome them home with open arms. They will become your next generation of great employees. They'll become your councilmen, your mayors, and they'll represent business better than it's ever been represented. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great generation. Moms and dads, you've raised some wonderful young people. To think that they're unselfish enough to say they're willing to serve puts them in a completely different group of people, in my opinion. Your job, Mom and Dad, isn't done though. Mom, you won't have to do their laundry anymore. You won't have to wake them up. The drill sergeants will tuck them in at night and wake them up gently in the morning. Dad, they won't ask you for money for the car, or for the car for that matter. But your job's not done. Your job is not done. I'm going to give each of your children a parent's guide to education in the military. It's something that I wrote in one of my weaker moments, but I wrote it for you because I really would like to see you transcend your role as parent. Whether you're a critical or a nurturing parent makes no difference to me. I'd like you to become their coach. I'd like you to become their mentor. I'd like for you to help them stay focused, to stay on track, and to be successful. Help them develop a plan. Help them stick to the plan. This is written for you. This is to help you make that transition. All right, enough said. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, and wow, what an evening.
Thank you, Captain Clark. And now we have some musical selections from the Windsor Jazz Band. thank you to the Windsor Jazz Band. All right, we've come now to our keynote speaker, a gentleman I have had the pleasure of interviewing on many occasions. I don't know if it says this in the bio or not, but he's very active in the local group, the local Southern Tier Veteran Support Group, which does many wonderful things for veterans in our area. So, any of you veterans in the audience out there who are not familiar with this group, please look them up because they have many wonderful programs and benefits to assist you. Or perhaps you'd like to volunteer your time and assist them. These things go both ways, don't they? All right, so without further ado, it is my great pleasure and honor even to introduce Colonel Benjamin Margolius, retired U.S. Army.
Well, what a special evening to have this opportunity to talk to a group of young men and women who are going to go off and do some very special things. Ms. Debbie Preston, Mayor David, Dr. Hartman, Captain Andrews, the men and the women who are about to join the service, their families, their mothers and their fathers and their siblings and their friends. To gather together to recognize this group of young men and women is a special thing. And first I'm going to talk about you, because this is all about you. You are doing something that only 0.4% of Americans do today, and that is to serve their country. We see in the news the war that's going on in many different locations. We hear about what's going on across the world. This is a different world that you're going to be part of that was quite different from when I entered the Army 53 years ago. But there's some similarities there, because when I went into the Army, we were beginning a war, not ending one. And Vietnam was just beginning, and I chose to go, having graduated from ROTC as a second lieutenant. And the first time I went and the second time that I went, there weren't too many people out there who were appreciating the fact that I was doing what you were getting ready to do. Because the country wasn't behind our military. And when I came back the first time, no one said anything or thanked me for what I had done for our country. And the same thing happened the second time. And it took about 20 years until somebody actually thanked me for my service. I'm going to thank you right now for your decision to serve our country. What you're going to do in the next few weeks or month or whenever you actually get ready to raise your right hand and to solemnly swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to obey the orders of the President of the United States and your officers, and to defend the Constitution, is going to be a very special time for you. This is not summer camp. This is not a vacation. This is real. because you're going to be spending your time getting ready to do what our country needs for you to do, and that is to be prepared to the best of your ability to defend our country. Now, you may not be going into the infantry or any of the combat arms. You may become a mechanic. You may become a cook. You may become a truck driver. But there's a famous poet, and his name was John Milton. And back in the 1600s, he wrote a poem entitled On Blindness. And he was becoming blind, and he wrote about what it was like being blind. But at the end, he said, "They also serve who only stand and wait." And what he was saying was, it doesn't matter what you're doing, because you're still going to be serving. You're going to be part of that group that our country depends upon. You're going to have a very rigorous set of training. You're going to be barked at and shouted at. You're going to be stressed mentally and physically more than you have ever been stressed in your life. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is to mold you into an effective fighting team. You will be assigned a battle buddy. And the purpose of that is that you are not, as the Army used to say, an army of one, because we never were an army of one. We are an Army or a Navy or a Marine Corps or an Air Force of many. And even today, it's very rare that one service fights on its own, because what we do today is joint. And it's not uncommon on the battlefield to have soldiers supporting the Air Force, or have Marines as a detachment, or be assigned to a Marine organization. It's a joint environment, and it's a multi-mission environment. And so the more you can learn about everybody's job, the better you will be able to jump in and fill in when there's a need, regardless of what your job actually is. This is going to be hard. This is going to be difficult. But there's some lessons to be learned, and that is keeping yourself physically fit, and at the same time being honest in what you do. Because your buddy is depending upon you to be honest and to tell the truth. And you will be judged by your honesty. You will learn what a chain of command is all about, and the fact that you owe your allegiance to your next higher up, your drill sergeant, or your squad leader, or your platoon sergeant, whoever is in command. And you will learn to follow orders, because when you're on the battlefield, if you happen to be in that kind of position, you need to be able to react without thinking, to react automatically. And people need to be able to trust you that you're going to look out for them. So you're taking a big step, probably the most important one in your life. And whether you stay within your service for 2 to 3 years, or whatever your commitment is, or you go on, the service will take care of you just as you will take care of the service as you defend your country. Now I'd like to talk just for a few minutes to the parents. This is going to be a very difficult time for you, because you are, in one respect, losing your son or your daughter and losing control over them. The apron strings are literally going to be untied, and you're going to be suffering not being able to tell them what to do. You're not going to be able to wonder where they are or who they're with. You have to trust that the service is going to take care of them. And frankly, the services are used to taking care of their soldiers and their Marines and their sailors and their Coast Guardsmen and their Air Force. They know how to do that. But you're going to suffer withdrawal pangs, and you're not going to hear from them every day. You may not hear from them every week. You may just get a phone call now and then. Or you might get a letter, like the one that they have to write in boot camp that says, "Hi Mom, hi Dad, I'm okay, don't worry about me, I love you, goodbye." That's about all you're going to hear. And you'll find that vacations that you used to take where the whole family's together may not happen again. Or you used to celebrate Christmas on Christmas Day because everybody was together. Well, maybe you need to think about Christmas is just a date on the calendar. And so you celebrate Christmas when you can get everybody together in the family again. And that may be in July, or that may be in February. So your life is going to change. But you should be proud of the fact that your son and your daughter has made this decision. And as you heard from Dr. Andrews, Captain Andrews, there's an incredible amount of benefits to being a member of the armed forces. And those benefits include the education benefit, include a good salary, include one of the best medical plans in our country. And yet, we are in a time where our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines have to be the best that they can be, because this is going to be a very competitive environment. And only the best are going to survive and stay, because we're downsizing the military. The Army soon will be at its lowest level since World War II. And the other services are also downsizing. And it's part of sequestration, where the Pentagon, the Department of Defense is having to figure out how they're going to cut $500 billion out of the budget this year and next, and $1 trillion over the next 10 years. And so what does that mean? It means that we are reducing the size of the force. We are eliminating new weapon systems because they cost so much. We are reducing the amount of maintenance that we do on equipment and on facilities. On April the 15th, my wife and I and several other people, as part of the Military Officers Association of America, stormed Capitol Hill. And in one day, we visited all 27 New York State legislative representatives and both senatorial representatives. And we went there for the purpose of talking about three major issues, because the military is under attack right now at the congressional level. And those three issues are sequestration, which, if carried out to its fullest, is going to do some great harm to our military, and one might question what will be our ability if the National Command Authority decides to go somewhere or to prosecute another war. Are we going to be capable of doing that? We also talked to legislators or their assistants about changes to our medical plan, the TRICARE plan, and their proposals to civilianize that plan and create a means test, so there'll be upfront money, just like there is for Medicare. And so we talked about that and what that would do to our military, and with the enlistment of new people coming in to serve. We talked about the possibility of the changes to the commissary system. If you don't know what a commissary is, think of Weiss Market on steroids. Because at every post-camping station, you're going to find a commissary, which is like a large grocery store. Much bigger than Wegmans, much bigger than Weiss, much bigger than Price Chopper. But a place where a military family can save 30 to 35%. Well, they're reducing the commissary benefits so that you may not save as much, they may not be open as much. They're reducing the post exchange, which is like a big shopping center for everything else. They're changing the basic housing allowance, or proposing to do that, so that when you get married, or if you get married and you want to move off base and have a place to live, you may have difficulty in affording that. And they're making changes to the retirement plan to provide an incentive for those who are serving who do not plan to stay for an entire 20 years. So there are a lot of changes, which means that you are going to be in a very competitive situation. And only the best will survive. So you need to think about that, because it affects everything that we're doing and affects our ability to defend the country. You come from a state that has a long history of service to our country. The Empire State, New York State, you probably didn't know that we have almost 800,000 veterans still living in our state. In Broome County alone, we have 14,000 veterans. And in New York alone, there are over 24,000 active duty military serving today. You're going to be one of those, each one of you. And as I said, only 0.4% of Americans serve. You're going to be part of a brotherhood that's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's going to be a military family, a brotherhood or a sisterhood of men and women who bond together. And as you join the military family, you're going to find a different environment from what you're used to, an environment that takes care of its own, looks out for each individual, and provides meaning to your service. In January of 1961, President John F. Kennedy, in his inauguration speech, said something that was true today just as much as it was back then. And he said that the torch has been passed to a new generation, and you are that new generation. Born in this century, tempered by war, just as we are today, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has been committed, and to which we and you are going to be committed, both here and around the world. And then he said, let every nation know whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, and oppose any foe in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. And that's what you're going to be all about. And then he closed by saying, and so my fellow Americans, and this applies to you, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that's what you're doing. And I salute you, because you are the next generation, and you are a great one. Thank you.
All right, once again, that is Colonel Benjamin Margolius, retired of the U.S. Army. Thank you so much. All right, now I would like to invite our county executive, Debbie Preston, to come to the stage. And while she does so, I'd like to also acknowledge some other local dignitaries we have in the room. And I'm just going off those that I noticed, so if I miss anyone, my apologies. Please don't stop returning my phone calls. But we do have Binghamton Mayor Rich David is here in attendance. We also have legislator Scott Baker, who represents Windsor and the surrounding area on the county legislature, and Windsor Supervisor Carolyn Price, I was chatting with earlier. So very nice of all these folks to take time out of their busy schedules and be with us tonight. So now, without further ado, Deborah Preston.
Thank you and good evening. Before I start, I just want to say to Colonel Margolius, thank you on behalf of all the people of Broome County for everything that you do for our veterans. We salute you, Colonel. Thank you. I want to start out by saying a big thank you to the Kiwanis Club for inviting me to be part of this very special ceremony, and also for them working so hard to put this on for the third year. Tonight we are expressing our appreciation to the high school students who have made the decision to join one of our country's military service branches after graduation. So let me address you young folks directly. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. In a time when many students are worried about their personal futures, you all are putting your country first, and you are preparing to go out and defend the freedoms that we hold dear in the United States. And I know that this was not an easy decision, but I want to applaud each and every one of you for your selfless dedication. Tonight, I am not alone in telling you how proud we all are of the decision you made to put your country first. You have chosen a difficult but essential path, and I'm here to tell you that it's not going to be easy. You are choosing to take your place in harm's way to protect each and every one of us. You fine men and women are joining a long legacy of those from Broome and surrounding counties that wore the uniform and fought to defend everything America stands for. Broome County is tremendously proud to be the home of 6 Medal of Honor recipients. The Medal of Honor is the highest award given to any sailor, soldier, or Marine that has gone above and beyond the call of duty. You go forward following the path that they set forth. And we cannot thank you enough for deciding to be part of that honorable tradition. Many of you may not know this, but our veterans and our current military hold a very special place in my heart, as many of my family members served our country proudly, and I witnessed firsthand the dedication and the sacrifices that they made to protect the freedoms that we have. While your road may be difficult, I know that the future of our country is in great hands because of people like you. You may not hear a lot of thank yous for your decision, but we here today want you to know that you have our gratitude. And I also want you to know that when your time in the military is complete and you come home, we will be here with open arms to welcome you home again and to help you return to life in our community. We have a dedicated Veterans Service Department which will be ready to assist you as they currently assist all of our veterans. During those difficult days that you face in the future, I hope that you can look back on this evening and remember that we hold you in our hearts and in our prayers. So, I would like to end by saying that I wish you the best of luck during your time in the military and in the very bright future that you have ahead of yourself. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America.
All right, we are pleased to have in our audience tonight Dr. Kenneth Hartman. He's the founding president of the national organization, Our Community Salutes. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Hartman to our stage to say a few words and then stay with us for our presentation.
Good evening. It is really a pleasure to be here. It's almost like a homecoming for me, having grown up in upstate New York in Rochester, and having served a number of years in the New York Army National Guard. In fact, Captain Clark, who was up here earlier today, was actually my first company commander. My wife likes to say it was George Washington, but that wasn't really true. It really was Gene Clark, and it's fun to be back here in the community. I just want to take a couple minutes just to share with you a little history of our community salutes, because I think it's important to see some of your sister organizations that are around the country. About 7 years ago, I took a seat on our local school board in a town called Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is just outside Philadelphia. And at my first graduation ceremony like this, kids were coming across the stage and I would shake their hand and I would say, "Congratulations, where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to Syracuse University. I'm going to Drexel University," where I was president at the time. "I'm going to this place, I'm going to this college and that college." And every now and then you hear, "I'm going in the Army, I'm going in the Navy, I'm going in the Marine Corps, I'm going to the Air Force, I'm going to the National Guard." And I turned to our superintendent on the stage and I said, "Hey, how many of our kids actually go in the military after high school?" He said, I don't know, a handful of them. I said, "Well, what do we do for those kids and their parents?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "For the kids going off to college, even the kids who are ROTC like me, I was going off to college, there's all sorts of bells and whistles and recognition for them. The parents feel and they brag and they talk rightfully so about what their kids are going to do. I said, but what about the kids who are going off and serve directly in the military and their parents? What do we do for them?" He said, "Well, we don't do anything for them." And I thought, well, that must be my snobby, suburban school district. But when I looked around, I realized nobody was doing anything. So I got together with the recruiter and the Army recruiter, and I said, "Hey, I've got this idea for a ceremony. I don't know where I'm going to have it. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know if anybody's going to come, but it's not an Army thing. It's really all the services. Would you work with me?" And 7 years ago, this month, we had our first ceremony in South Jersey. About similar size to this. All the kids in our county and all their parents. And all the veterans, and it was a magical evening. And the Pentagon did a story on us. And the next thing I knew, I got a call from a woman in Pittsburgh saying, "Hey, I heard what you did in South Jersey. Can you help us do something in Pittsburgh?" I said, "Well, yeah, sure. I got all the materials and the logo and stuff. We can do that." In our year 2, we had 2 of us. Our community salutes of South Jersey and of Pittsburgh. And then there was another story that came out by the military. And the next thing you know, we get calls from Cleveland and Philadelphia and New York and LA. And in year 3, we had 4 or 5 more. Fast forward to this year, our 7th year, we now are in over 50 locations across the country in which we'll honor and recognize somewhere around 10,000 to 20,000 high school seniors. And you're part of that. I need to tell you that we're all volunteers. Every one of us across the country, including Bill and his community, we're all volunteers. And I say that because moms and dads that are here, I want to get to you in a second, we need you to come back here and work with your committee next year. And what I would like to do is tell you a couple things. First of all, the Colonel did a great job talking about the number of U.S. citizens that have served or currently have served in our nation's armed forces. But I think what you may not know is that when it comes to high school graduates, it's less than 1% of all high school kids will actually graduate from high school and enlist in the military. And to make it even more important, only 40% of all high school graduates today can even qualify to be one of those 1%. So think about that. 1% of all kids. We have a huge county where I live, and there's 50 kids in the entire county. All of Philadelphia, we had their ceremony. All of Philadelphia, how big Philadelphia is? 100 kids. That's it. That's 100 kids. So you truly are the special group. And what I'd like to do is I'd like for all the enlistees to just stand for a second as a group so we can see you and recognize you. But just stand. Okay, you can sit down. We'll be standing a long time. And the other reason why we do our community salutes is not just to recognize the kids, but as I said before, the moms and dads and the guardians. I know some of you have had people come up to you over time and said, I don't get it, why? And you stand there and you defend your child's decision. And for that, I would like the moms and dads, if they could just stand for a second so we could see and recognize you. Could you please stand? Moms and dads. I'd like to stand because I think you're a very special part of our community salutes. It's part of the chemistry. And it's something that these young people are looking around, and if I've heard one time, and I've been to RCS ceremonies all over the country, and it's the same magic when we bring these people in and they're part of the ceremony, and that is our local veterans. If you can please stand for a second so we can recognize you, see you, and thank you for your service. All your veterans, stand. Whoever served, please stand up. And so, I just want to end by telling you a couple of things. One, that the challenge coin is a very special part, and there's an information in your brochure about the military challenge coin. This will be the first challenge coin that you will get. You won't get it tonight, however. It will be given to you by your recruiter. But I want you to take a moment and read the challenge coin, because they're very special, and you're going to hopefully get several of these throughout your military career and understand how they're used and why they're given out. This is our way of saying thank you. Our motto, as you know, is, and as indicated on the banner in front of the school, we like to say we're the first to say thank you. You're going to get thank yous in every airport, and rightfully so when you're in uniform from other folks. But we would like to just say, as the colonel indicated, that we are the first to say thank you, and many that will come forward. And speaking of thank you, the last thing I want to do is I truly want to just take 2 seconds to thank Bill and his committee, and certainly the Kiwanis Club for all that you've done the last 3 years. I have not been here. Gene has, and every year he comes back and tells me how wonderful it is. Unfortunately, we have a lot of these, so we try to sprinkle ourselves out around the country. I'm honored to be here, to be a part of your evening. And again, for all the seniors, moms and dads, thank you for what you do. God bless you all.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hardman. It is an honor that you're here this year. Welcome to Windsor and Greater Binghamton and Broome County and the Southern Tier. All right, now we're finally at that moment where we have presentations and we can start calling up the individuals and recognizing them. And so we have, actually it turns out, more than one certificate to give the individuals. But I'd like to start by inviting up Tara Gitter with the U.S. Representative Richard Hanna's office. Congressman Hanna represents New York's 22nd Congressional District. And Ms. Ginter will help to form a receiving line here. And then County Executive Preston will be joined by Mayor David, I understand. And they have certificates on behalf of both Broome County as well as Assemblywoman Donna Lupardo, who could not be here tonight, but Mayor David and County Executive Preston are nice enough to assist with distributing them as well. So, now I turn my attention to this program here, which has the names of the folks in attendance, as well as the school administrators who are here representing the school districts as well. So the way I understand that this works, but bear with me if I'm doing it wrong, and Bill will let me know, is that we're going to call them up by school. So I will call up the school administrator first, and then call up the students. And in those instances in which a school administrator is not present, I understand Dr. Andrews has agreed to stand in their place. So perhaps Dr. Andrews would like to be waiting in the wings. I believe he will be put into service on a number of occasions here. So, are we good to go? Looks like we've got an excellent receiving line here. I see the county legislature? Okay.
Legislator Kelly Wildner.
Kelly, my apologies for not recognizing you sooner. We've got legislator Kelly Wildner here, and he's got certificates on behalf of the Broome County Legislature. So as you can see, you folks are very important to a great many people, and we want to recognize your service in advance. So let's start with the Binghamton School District. Tia Rodriguez, I believe, is in attendance, according to my bulletin. Tia, are you here? Okay, my apologies. All right, so Dr. Andrews. All right. Oh wait, Tia is here. I know Tia. You're just way in the back. Couldn't see you back there. Welcome. All right, so we have with us tonight Heather R. Roberts, who is joining the U.S. Marines. Thank you. All right, next, Kaylee Scott, who is joining the U.S. Army.
Army,
Okay, and it looks as though, from a housekeeping point of view, it might be preferred if folks make their way to that staircase, correct? And come along this way. Oh, here she comes. Kaylee Scott, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now as Kaylee and Tia take their seats, I believe we're done here, right Tia? Anyone else? No. I'm going to invite up the Superintendent of Candor Schools, Jeff Kislowski. And he's here on behalf of Owen Garlow, who's joining the U.S. Army. Next, we have Shenango Forks, and now, for real, I believe I need Dr. Andrews up here. And then, as he's making his way to the stage, if Sarah Clark could join us, she will be joining the U.S. Army. Let's remember, we need to pause and pose for our photos. Very nice. All right, next up, Bronx Gibson, also joining the U.S. Army. And finally, from Shenango Forks, Jonah Sterling. No, wait, my apologies. There's two more from Forks. But let's start with Jonah. Jonah Sterling, U.S. Air Force. All right, one more from Forks. Zachariah T. Jevons, joining the U.S. Marines.
What about Tyler?
You know, is Tyler Denny here? Tyler, raise your hand if you're here. Tyler's on the program, but he's not checked as present. Sorry.
You can still announce it.
Okay. All right, in that case, there's no harm in announcing Tyler Denny, U.S. Marines. All right, now time for Shenango Valley. I'd like to welcome Terry Heller, the high school principal, to the stage. And then from Shenango Valley, we are recognizing Logan McDonald joining the U.S. Army. Okay, thank you, Mr. Heller. All right, now we have someone who has driven quite a distance. We'll recognize someone from Chittenango, which is just east of Syracuse. And Dr. Andrews will stand in on behalf of that school district. We are going to recognize Jack Wandersee joining the U.S. Air Force. All right, from the Cortland School District, we have 3 folks joining the military. 1 is in attendance, so I will call him up now. That would be Nikolai Tubbs, who is joining the U.S. Navy. And while he makes his way up, we'll recognize the other 2 gentlemen from Cortland going into the service. Noah E. Birdsall entering the U.S. Marines, and Thomas L. Foster also entering the U.S. Marines. All right, now I'd like to invite to the stage Mark McCravey. He's a guidance counselor in Deposit. That's not far from here. And then we have 4 folks from Deposit. Now, one of them is not in the program here. I'm warning the folks with the certificate. We're going to start off with Connor Plew of the U.S. Army. Next, Devin Santa Maria joining the U.S. Air Force. And now Yvonne Stevens joining the U.S. Army. And one more, not in the program, but just as worthy as all the rest, Donald Kostler joining the U.S. Army. Donald, I am sure that our local governments will have certificates printed up for you with your name on them and get them to you shortly. Thank you. Okay, in the meantime, we've got a few that weren't able to attend, and I will name them. We've got from the Allenwood Academy, Mario Nasinovich joining the U.S. Air Force. From Dryden, Samuel L. Park, joining the U.S. Marines. From Hamilton, Kevin Deshaw, joining the U.S. Army. I'd like to now invite Steve Moshak, an administrator with Harpersville, to the stage. While he makes his way up here, I'd also like to recognize someone else who was unable to attend. From Jamesville, DeWitt, Samuel Rigney, joining the U.S. Air Force. Back to the matter at hand, Harpersville. Join me in recognizing Peter Mutz, joining the U.S. Army. All right, we're pressing Dr. Andrews into service once again. Thank you, Mr. Moshe. Next up, Johnson City. Timothy Himko, U.S. Army. Next up, the Lansing School District, who has 2 graduating seniors entering the service, one of whom is here. Dr. Andrews, if you'll remain on stage. We'd like to invite up Matthew Pettigrew, joining the U.S. Navy. Also from Lansing, but unable to attend, Jason Kills, who is joining the New York State Army National Guard. All right, next up, I'd like to invite up the high school principal in Maine Endwell, Thomas Burkhart. While he makes his way to the stage, 3 graduating seniors entering the service. Dane Saunders entering the U.S. Navy, unable to attend this evening. However, present are Jonathan Carlson joining the U.S. Army. And Crystal Tripp, also U.S. Army. All right, thank you, Mr. Burkhart. Your job is done. In the meantime, I'd like to invite up the Superintendent of Newark Valley, Ryan Dougherty. While he makes his way to the stage, I'll note that 3 of the 4 Newark Valley seniors joining the service are with us tonight. Unable to attend, Tristan Richard of the U.S. Air Force. With us, Christopher K. Card, U.S. Marines. Next up, Jasmine Rosenberger, U.S. Army. And Damian M. Wilcox, U.S. Marines. All right, thank you, Mr. Doherty. Next, I'd like to invite to the stage from Susquehanna Valley, Dave Daniels. While he's making his way to the stage, I'll recognize a couple other graduating seniors who are not able to be with us this evening. From Newfield, Matthew Bowers entering the U.S. Air Force. And from O'Neill, Trevor Zant joining the U.S. Army. Now, back to Susquehanna Valley, where tonight we recognize Elizabeth M. Wiggins, U.S. Marines. The county executive travels with their own personal photographer, you should know. Well, geez, I want to get in on the act. Okay, now we're going off script, so to speak, off program, I should say. We do have members of the Tioga Central School District here. I have them written into my program. And I would like to invite Josh Rowe to the stage. This has been a big week for Tioga Central for a variety of reasons. Welcome. Yeah. All right, and so, once again, not to flummox any of the folks with the certificates, but we may not have these certificates because these are late adds to the program, but don't you worry, you will get your certificates. Gabe will see to it. All right. First of all, we'd like to recognize Bradley Jump entering the U.S. Army. Next up, Matthew Jump, joining the U.S. Army Reserve. I didn't hear a bell. I believe we have a Lucas Richardson joining the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Some of this. Well, he is indeed joining, and he deserves your applause. But he's not here today, so as it turns out, Mr. Rowe, you are dismissed. Sorry about that. Ding, ding. Okay, is there a Steve DiStefano in attendance? Please join us on stage, Mr. DiStefano. Because it is time now to recognize those from Union Endicott School District who are joining the service. And we've got one of the two listed in the program here. So let's first of all recognize the one who is in attendance, Tyler Miles, joining the New York State Army National Guard. And while Tyler makes his way to the stage, let's also recognize Michael C. Torres joining the U.S. Marines. All right, thank you, Mr. DiStefano. All right, Dr. Andrews will stand in now for the Vestal School District. We have two of the three graduating seniors here tonight. We will start with Dylan Hunt joining the U.S. Army. While Dylan makes his way to the stage, let's recognize a gentleman who wasn't able to attend, Sean Patterson, joining the U.S. Army. And now, Jacob Love, joining the U.S. Army. All right, I'd now like to welcome Patricia Follett, Superintendent of Whitney Point. While she makes her way to this stage, let's recognize someone who's not able to be here tonight, Sheldon M. Clute, U.S. Marines. And now for someone who is here, Maria E. Dewey, U.S. Marines. While Maria makes her way to the stage, two other graduating Whitney Point seniors unable to attend tonight, Joseph M. D'Amico, U.S. Marines. And the final Whitney Point senior unable to attend, Zachary T. Shearer, U.S. Marines. Thank you, Ms. Follett, for joining us. Okay, now Dr. Andrews gets to stand up here as Dr. Andrews, because we have come to the final district in our program, fittingly the Windsor district. And we have here a number of folks from Windsor joining the service, of which all but 2 appear to be here. So let's start with those who are. Jordan Abbott joining the New York State Army National Guard. While Jordan makes his way to the stage, let's recognize Elijah R. Decker joining the U.S. Marines. Now we'd like to invite up Jonathan Bullock, joining the U.S. Navy. And now we invite up Tyler J. Freer, going to the U.S. Marines. While Tyler makes his way up to the stage, let's recognize Tyreek J. Pryor, joining the U.S. Marines. He's here. My apologies, Tyreek is here, so Tyreek, wait one moment while we finish with Tyler. We're missing the check. All right, let me start that over so that we give Tyreek his due. Tyreek J. Pryor joining the U.S. Marines. Next up, Devin Seeley, joining the New York State Army National Guard. And now we finish the evening with Matthew Vroman, who has joined the New York State Army National Guard, and he has already begun his service. So, accepting on his behalf is his mother, Lisa Vroman. Okay, now it's my opportunity to once again thank the folks on our stage here, Dr. Andrews, Dr. Hartman, Legislator Wildener, County Executive Preston, Mayor David, Ms. Gitter. Thank you so much for your assistance. It says here, I am to also thank our band director, Joel Carl, and chorus director, Bobby Morano. And is there a final musical selection? Okay, so if they would like to assemble themselves, we have a final musical selection. And then we will also have the retrieval of the colors. Oh, there will be a PowerPoint with that, like that, multimedia. And so then there will be the retrieval of the colors, and then our ceremony will be concluded. While we await, I will take the opportunity to not be the first to thank you, because so many have already tonight, but 12th, 22nd, whatever it is, from my heart, Jim Emke, and on behalf of News Channel 34, thank you.
Good. If tomorrow all the things were gone, worked with all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause that flag still stands for freedom, and you can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Yeah, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
That was Sarah Zig. Very nicely done, Sarah. Thank you so much. And, accompanied, I'm assuming there, by Joel Carl. Yes, thank you, Joel. Okay, it is time now for the retrieval of the colors.
Detail, take 2. Forward, forward. Forward, 2. 12, 12. Left, right, up, right, left. 12, 12, 12, right, up, right, left. Right, left. Hey, hey! Freeze it! Forward! 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 3, 3! Forward! Left! Hey! Forward! 2! 12! 12! 12! Right up! Right up! Left!
All right, and as they exit the room, that concludes our ceremony this evening. Thank you all for counting yourselves among the first to say thank you to these fine young men and women. You are all invited to join us in the cafeteria for a brief reception. Thank you.